Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button, so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from, how many sons and daughters you have. Thanks. I guess you have everything now, don't you? My voice cracked across the living room like a thunderclap. I was shaking, not out of fear, but rage. Years of hurt, buried under silence and sacrifice, had just boiled to the surface. My son, Daniel, stood across from me, arms crossed, jaw locked, like he was the one who had been wronged. You live here for free, Mom. You eat my food, you sit on that couch all day, and now you want to act like you're the victim? I couldn't believe the audacity. This was my house. I built it with my late husband. We raised Daniel here. I watched him take his first steps on that exact carpet he was now stomping across like some spoiled stranger. But the papers, the damned papers, said otherwise. After Harold died and I put the deed in Daniel's name for security, he started acting like I was just some squatter lucky to be tolerated. My hand trembled as I pointed at him. Everything in this house, everything in your life, you got because I gave up mine to give you more. And now you're talking to me like I'm some homeless leech you found on your porch. He scoffed. Don't guilt-trip me, Mom. You act like I asked for any of it. You raised me? Good. That was your job. That's what parents are supposed to do. But now? Now you're just holding me back. From what, Daniel? My voice broke this time, but I refused to let the tears fall. From helping your mother get to her own bathroom without waiting until your wife is done with her spa hour? From letting me have a warm meal that doesn't come out of a frozen tray? His eyes narrowed. You always make everything about you. That's why Jess and I are done catering to your every need. You don't even try anymore. You sit in that chair and mope all day. You took my car, Daniel. Because you can't drive without nearly crashing into someone, he snapped. I was grieving. I cried. I lost my husband, your father, and instead of helping me through it, you shoved me into a corner like I was a piece of furniture you couldn't sell. He turned away, muttering, Here we go again with the drama. No, I said, my voice low and sharp now, dangerously steady. You want to talk about drama? How about your son, my grandson, sending me a video yesterday? That stopped him cold. His face twitched. What video? I stepped forward, heart pounding. Of you. In the garage. On the phone. Saying, and I quote, I'm sick of this old burden still breathing under my roof. Silence. He didn't deny it. Instead, he looked at me, almost amused, and said, Well. At least now you know how I really feel. That was it. That was the moment something snapped inside me. All the nights I went without so they could have more. All the meals I skipped when Daniel was growing up because he needed the lunch money. All the birthdays I spent working overtime. All the times I defended him to neighbors, to teachers, to his own father when he called Daniel spoiled and selfish. All of it, wasted. And here he was. A grown man, staring me down like I was the ungrateful one. I inhaled, closed my eyes, and then exhaled like I was releasing 30 years of heartbreak in one breath. You really think you own everything now, don't you? I said quietly. Daniel's smirk returned. Pretty much. You signed over the house. Jess and I take care of the bills. You don't have any real money left, just that small pension and what's left of Dad's retirement, which I helped you cash out, remember? Oh, I remember, I said. You were real helpful that day. Even drove me to the bank. Stood behind me while I signed every form. He nodded, smug. I nodded too. But you forgot one thing. What's that? I walked slowly toward the mantel, pulled open the drawer just beneath the photo of Harold and me, the one Daniel never even looked at anymore, and pulled out the envelope. His face changed when he saw it. I never changed my will. The smirk vanished. I may have given you the house, I said, but I still control where everything else goes. And let me tell you something, Daniel. I may not be rich, but you have no idea what you just threw away with that one word. Burden. He stepped forward. Mom, wait. No. You wait, I snapped, raising my hand. For once in your life, you listen. I cooked for you. I wiped your tears. I cheered when nobody else did. I fought for you. And I would have kept doing it until the day I died. But you buried me while I was still breathing. Daniel's voice was softer now. I didn't mean. You did, I cut in. You meant every word. And now you're going to live with them. The hallway was silent. You could hear the tick of the old wall clock Harold hung on our 25th anniversary. I looked at him, really looked at him. And for the first time in my life, I saw not my son, but a stranger in my own home. You want me out of your house? I whispered. Fine. I'll leave. But don't be surprised when everything else follows me. And with that, I walked to my room, my back straight, my shoulders proud, and my heart finally done breaking. This fight wasn't over. It had just begun. Because my name is Martha, and if Daniel thought I was an old burden, he forgot that even the quietest storms carry the loudest thunder. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the wall, holding the envelope in my lap like it was a loaded weapon, and in a way, it was. The legal document inside wasn't just ink and paper. It was 30 years of sacrifice, carefully signed and sealed for the moment someone really showed me who they were. By morning, I had made up my mind. At exactly 9 a.m., I called my lawyer, Mr. Whitaker, an old friend of Harold's, one of the few men left in this world who still knew the meaning of respect. He didn't ask questions. He just said, "Come in, Martha. I'll be ready." I didn't bother telling Daniel where I was going. He and Jess were still asleep, probably curled up in the big California king bed I helped them buy during the pandemic, back when they were struggling. My feet ached. My knees complained. But I didn't ask for a ride. I took the city bus. And every bump and stop along the way only made me firmer in my resolve. Mr. Whitaker welcomed me with a warm smile and a firm handshake. You look like you've made a decision. I have, I said. I want to change the will. Immediately. He didn't blink. Understood. Who's getting what now? I pulled out a folded note from my purse. My grandson. Jeremy. Whitaker raised an eyebrow but didn't question it. He just nodded. Tell me why. So I told him. I told him about the video Jeremy sent me, not for gossip, not for drama, but because he was worried about me. He'd been staying with his father, Daniel, for a few weeks while his college dorm was being cleaned for mold. And what he saw, how I was being treated behind closed doors, it broke him. It broke me. He didn't want to hurt anyone, I said. He just wanted me to know the truth. And you know what, Mr. Whitaker? That boy, he reminds me of my Harold. Gentle, but strong when it counts. He smiled. Then we'll take care of it. Consider the documents ready in an hour. And just like that, it was done. Daniel was no longer the heir to anything but his own ego. I returned home around lunchtime. Jess was in the kitchen, scrolling her phone like always, ignoring the pot of water boiling over on the stove. When she saw me, she didn't even flinch. You're late, she said. For what? I needed a ride to my yoga class. I stared at her. You have a car. Daniel needed it. I didn't respond. I just walked past her, no more arguments, no more explanations. My silence was starting to scare them more than my words ever did. Jeremy called that evening. Grandma, are you okay? His voice was so gentle. No judgment. Just love. I'm better than I've been in years, sweetheart. I'm sorry you saw that video. I didn't want to send it, but I couldn't just let him talk about you like that. I know, I whispered. And I'm glad you did. You showed me something I needed to see. He hesitated. What happens now? I smiled. Now, I take care of the people who take care of me. There was a long pause. Then, softly, I love you, Grandma. I love you too, Jeremy. More than you'll ever know. That Sunday, we all sat down for brunch, Daniel's idea. He was playing the part of the loving son again, handing me orange juice, cracking jokes, acting like the explosion from earlier in the week never happened. So, Mom, he said, cutting into his omelet. You doing all right? Need anything? No, I said. Not a thing. Jess chimed in, all sugar and smiles. You know, we've been talking, maybe we could convert the garage into a little in-law suite for you. Give you your own space, your own little fridge, maybe even a microwave. Wouldn't that be nice? I looked at her. You mean move me out of the main house? Into the garage. She laughed nervously. Well, I mean, not like that. It's just, you need space, and we need space, and it's a win-win, really. Daniel added, plus, you're always cold. That garage has great insulation. I stared at them. You two rehearsed this, didn't you? The smiles cracked. I'll tell you what, I said slowly. That sounds like a wonderful idea, but only if you don't mind moving yourselves into the garage. After all, technically, you're guests here now. Silence. Daniel blinked. What are you talking about? I pulled out the newly updated will and placed it on the table. This house and everything in it now belongs to Jeremy. Effective immediately upon my passing. And as of yesterday, I've put a clause in place, anyone who disrespects me can be legally evicted from the premises. Jess's fork clattered onto her plate. You're kidding. Daniel stood up. You're going to cut me out? After everything I've done? Yes, I said calmly. After everything you've done. He laughed bitterly. You're going to give it to him? A college kid? He doesn't even know how to run a household. I stood too. He knows how to respect one. That's more than you can say. His eyes burned. You think you're punishing me, but this is going to tear the family apart. No, Daniel, I said, looking him square in the eye. You already did that. I'm just cleaning up the mess. I thought that would be the end of it. That once Daniel knew the truth, that the power had shifted, he'd back down. Maybe even show a sliver of the son I raised. But people like Daniel don't stop. Not when they think something belongs to them. 2 days after I signed the will over to Jeremy, my grandson showed up at the house with a duffel bag in his hand and confusion in his eyes. Dad told me to come by, he said. Said you wanted to talk. My stomach dropped. No, sweetheart, I said. I never told him that. Jeremy frowned. He said you were getting confused lately. That you wanted me to stay here with you for a few days. Something about monitoring your memory, making sure you're not, you know, declining. I felt like ice had settled in my chest. Oh, did he now? Jeremy shifted awkwardly. He even called my RA at school. Said it was urgent. Of course he did. Manipulate the narrative, build the case. Make me look unstable so no one questions him when he swoops in for my own good. Jeremy, I said gently, you and I both know I'm not declining. I know that, Grandma. Then why did you come? He hesitated. Because I don't want this to become a war. I thought maybe, if I'm here, things will calm down. I closed my eyes and took a breath. This boy had the soul of a peacemaker, but in a family run by selfish men, peace was seen as weakness. He wasn't here to spy. He was here to protect. All right, I said. You can stay. But you keep your eyes open. And don't let your father use you as a pawn. He nodded. But I could already feel the storm brewing. It didn't take long. That same night, Daniel barged into the house like a man on a mission. He didn't knock. Didn't call. "Where is he?" he demanded. I was in the living room, crocheting. I didn't even flinch. "Where's who?" I asked. "My son," he snapped. "He hasn't answered any of my texts." "You keeping him from me now, too?" I looked up at him. "He's not a possession, Daniel. He's a person. And maybe he's tired of being caught in the middle." He scoffed. "Middle? You dragged him into this the moment you weaponized your will." "No," I said, rising slowly. "You did that the moment you called your own mother a burden behind her back." He threw up his hands. "Oh my God, are we still on that?" It was one conversation, a moment of frustration. "I've done everything for you." I stared at him, my voice low and steady. "You've done everything for yourself, Daniel. And now you're scrambling because the money isn't coming your way." His face turned red. "You think I care about your money?" "Yes," I said. "I think that's the only thing you've ever cared about." From the hallway, Jeremy stepped into view. Quietly. Watching. "Dad," he said. "Stop." Daniel spun toward him. "You're seriously okay with this? Letting her turn you against your own father?" Jeremy stayed calm. "No one turned me against anyone. I saw the video. I heard what you said. That did it." Daniel blinked, stunned for a second. Then the mask slipped. "That was private. You weren't even supposed to." "I wasn't supposed to hear the truth?" Jeremy cut in. "You said she was dragging you down. You said she was an old burden. You talked about shipping her off to a home like she's a piece of furniture." "She's playing you," Daniel said, voice rising. "She's just bitter and wants revenge." Jeremy shook his head. "No, Dad. She wants respect. Something you stopped giving her a long time ago." Daniel's voice dropped to a snarl. "You're really going to throw me under the bus for a woman who's going to die in a few years?" The room went still. I didn't move. I didn't speak. But Jeremy did. With clenched fists and a trembling voice, he said, "That woman raised you. She fed you. She worked double shifts after Grandpa died just to keep the lights on. And you think because she's old, she doesn't matter anymore?" Daniel looked like he was about to speak, but Jeremy cut him off. "You know what's crazy? I used to look up to you. You were smart, successful, confident. I thought that's what a man should be." He stepped closer, his voice breaking. "But now I see you for what you are. Entitled. Selfish. And scared." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "You ungrateful little brat." I stepped forward finally. "Get out." He turned toward me. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," I said. "This is still my house. And as of this moment, you're not welcome here." "You're seriously choosing him over your own son?" "I'm choosing what's right, Daniel." He stared at us, breathing hard. Then, without another word, he stormed out. The door slammed so hard the windows rattled. And for the first time in years, the house felt quiet. Safe. Jeremy sat down on the couch beside me. "Are you okay?" I reached for his hand. "I am now." It only took him 48 hours. 48 hours after I told him to leave, my phone rang, and I picked up to the icy voice of Daniel's lawyer. "This is a courtesy call, Ms. Simmons. Your son, Daniel, has filed a petition with the court requesting legal guardianship over your affairs. He's claiming mental decline, early onset dementia. There will be a hearing next week." I said nothing for a long moment. My fingers tightened around the phone. "I see," I said finally, cold and calm. "Tell him I'll be there. And tell him I don't forget what's mine." The lawyer exhaled. It sounded like she didn't want to be part of this either. "Good day, ma'am." She hung up. And I sat there for a long time, the silence of my living room wrapping around me like armor. I had spent my whole life giving, to my son, to my job, to my husband while he was sick. I was quiet when they buried me under expectations. But now? Now, I would make them listen. The courthouse was small, but the tension inside could have filled a stadium. Daniel came dressed in a sleek navy suit, his lawyer flanking him like a shark circling a tired fish. He looked confident. Smug, even. Jeremy sat beside me, holding my hand like a lifeline. He'd taken time off school. He hadn't left my side since that night. Daniel didn't look at him. Not once. The judge, a tired-looking woman with silver hair and sharp eyes, glanced through the file in front of her. "Mr. Simmons," she said, peering over her glasses. "You're requesting full guardianship over your mother's estate and medical decisions, is that correct?" "Yes, Your Honor," Daniel said, standing up. "It's not something I ever wanted. But I'm concerned. Her memory's failing. She's rewriting her will on a whim. She's confused. I found her in the pantry at 2 in the morning once, thinking it was the bathroom." I nearly choked. That was his wife who'd confused the pantry for the bathroom 2 years ago at Christmas. I remembered, she was 3 glasses of wine in and giggling the whole way. But now Daniel had twisted it, pulled it onto me like a coat I never wore. The judge raised an eyebrow. "Do you have any medical evaluations, testimony from professionals?" Daniel cleared his throat. "I've spoken to her doctor." "No," I cut in. My voice was calm, but sharp as a razor. "You spoke to a nurse during one appointment. You don't even know her name." The judge looked at me. "Ms. Simmons, would you like to respond?" I stood slowly. "Yes, Your Honor. I would." I pulled a file from my purse and handed it to the bailiff. Inside are 3 evaluations from 3 different physicians, dated within the last 60 days. All confirming I am mentally sound. No signs of decline. The judge flipped through them, her face unreadable. Daniel shifted in his seat. "I'd also like to call a witness," I said. Daniel sat up. "What?" The judge nodded. "Very well." "Who?" I turned toward the back of the room. The door opened, and in walked my neighbor, Margot. 80 years old, cane in hand, lipstick bold as ever. She walked straight up to the front and turned to the judge. "My name is Margot Levy," she said. "I've lived next to Marie Simmons for 30 years. I see her every day. We play cards. She's sharp enough to take every penny I have in poker chips, and sharp enough to know her son's lying." Daniel stood up. "This is ridiculous." The judge held up a hand. "Sit down." Daniel's mouth snapped shut. Margot continued. "And for the record, it was his wife who confused the pantry for the bathroom. I was there. I brought the apple pie." The judge cracked the barest smile. But Margot wasn't done. "And another thing, I was there the night Jeremy got that video. I watched Marie cry in that kitchen. She never wanted revenge. She wanted respect." Then, she looked straight at Daniel. "You lost the right to call her confused the day you called her a burden." The courtroom was silent. The judge leaned back in her chair and tapped her pen. "Petition denied," she said finally. "Ms. Simmons remains in control of her estate. And Mr. Simmons, if you make any further attempts to manipulate, coerce, or defame your mother, you may find yourself facing legal consequences of your own." Daniel didn't speak. He just sat there, red-faced and rigid, as the gavel fell. Outside the courthouse, the sun was too bright. Jeremy wrapped an arm around me. "You okay?" I looked up at him, tears rising. "I didn't think I'd ever get this moment." He nodded slowly. "You earned it." Just then, Daniel walked past us, avoiding eye contact. But he couldn't help himself. He stopped a few feet away and turned back, his voice bitter. This isn't over. You're going to regret this when you're alone. I smiled gently. I'm not alone, Daniel. Not anymore. Turns out, your son remembers what loyalty means, even if you forgot. His jaw clenched. And then he walked away. Jeremy squeezed my shoulder. So, what now? I took a long breath, the air filling my lungs like peace. Now? I said. Now we build something new. And this time, we do it without the ones who only came for the will. 3 months passed. The house was quieter, but not empty. Jeremy had started staying over most weekends. We'd cook together. Watch movies. I even let him beat me at cards, once or twice. The kitchen felt warmer with his laugh in it. The couch didn't groan the same way it used to when I sat down alone. And every now and then, I caught myself smiling for no reason. That was new. But the day had come, the one Daniel had been waiting for, hoping for, obsessing over. The will. And this time I made sure it was done properly. In a lawyer's office. Recorded. Notarized. No surprises, or so Daniel thought. He showed up to the reading dressed like he was headed to collect an Oscar. His wife trailed behind him like a silent shadow, sunglasses on indoors. No Jeremy. No apology. Just that smug little smile like he knew exactly how this would go. My lawyer, Ms. Patel, welcomed everyone into the polished oak office and opened a large, leather-bound folder. Thank you all for coming. Ms. Simmons, as you requested, this will be recorded. Are we ready to begin? I nodded. Let's get this over with. She pressed the button. My name is Marie Simmons, came my voice from the recording. If you're hearing this, I'm either gone or finally done playing nice. This will is my final say, not just in finances, but in truth. And believe me, there's plenty of that left. Daniel sat up straighter. His wife crossed her arms. I raised one son. I gave him everything. And yet, I received nothing in return but manipulation, abandonment, and betrayal. So, Daniel, let's clear this up. He smirked, waiting for the check to drop into his lap. I leave you nothing. The room went still. Ms. Patel didn't even blink. She just kept reading. No property. No funds. No stocks. Not even my cookbook, because you never appreciated what was made with love. You treated me like a burden. But you forgot I still had the pen when it counted. Daniel's face flushed red. What is this? He snapped. This is illegal. You can't just. Sit down, Ms. Patel said coolly. You're interrupting a legal proceeding. We're not done. The recording continued. To my grandson, Jeremy, the one who reminded me that kindness isn't extinct, and family isn't about blood, it's about who shows up when it matters, I leave everything. Daniel shot up from his chair. Everything? This is fraud. He manipulated you, He's the only one who didn't, my recorded voice cut in, louder. Sharper. And if you're yelling right now, Daniel, it only proves me right. Jeremy's voice cracked beside me as he leaned in, whispering, Grandma. I don't want your house or your money. I squeezed his hand. I know. That's why you deserve it. Daniel stormed out before the recording ended, muttering something about appeals and lawsuits and injustice. His wife hesitated by the door but didn't say a word. She didn't even look at me. But Jeremy did. And he stayed. Weeks later, I sat with him on the porch, tea in hand, watching the sun set behind the trees. Did you ever think he'd change? He asked softly. I took a long breath. I hoped he would. But hope without action is just denial. And denial's heavy when you carry it for too long. Jeremy was quiet for a moment, then said, You think he'll ever forgive you for cutting him off? I shook my head. He'll never forgive me for not being someone he could control. He nodded slowly. We sat in silence a little longer before he reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. You want to see it? He asked. I frowned. See what? The video. The one that started all this. My stomach twisted, part fear, part curiosity. I hadn't seen it myself. Just heard what Jeremy described. That had been enough. But now, I nodded. Go on. He pressed play. And there it was. Daniel, on speakerphone. Laughing. His voice sharp, cold, careless. She's just sitting there in that big house, wasting space. You know what she is? An old burden. And once she's out of the picture, I'll finally get what I deserve. He laughed again. Don't worry. She's too slow to figure it out. The video ended. I stared at the phone for a long moment. Then I handed it back. Thank you for showing me, I said. Are you okay? I smiled, slow and steady. Better than okay. I'm free. Because sometimes, it takes losing everything you thought you needed to realize what you really had. Because being old doesn't make you weak. Because family isn't blood, it's loyalty, love, and truth. And because the most powerful thing you can leave behind isn't money. It's a legacy that says, I stood up. I spoke out. And I didn't let anyone write the ending of my story but me.